This story is a warning to every girl watching. If a guy stalks you, you are in serious danger. I know because my stalker almost ended up murdering me. So listen up, because this could happen to anyone. We had this kid Sven in our school who came from an incredibly wealthy family. Sven's dad was a real estate tycoon, best known for a scandal in which he spent $3 million to buy a kindergarten and turn it into his private strip club, where he and his friends would smoke cigars and watch women dance on stage. It was disgusting, but still harmless compared to what his son Sven enjoyed doing. Sven only came to school in expensive cars. However, they always had scratches and holes on their side. Dude, what happened, dear? Oh, I bought myself a peacock, and whenever he sees his reflection on my car door, he starts attacking it. That's why it has to be repainted each other month. And why not just get rid of the peacock? Yeah, I should probably throw that dumb bird into a boiling pot of water as revenge. That would be so funny. I'm pretty sure Sven was a sociopath, and despite his wealth, he had neither friends nor girls interested in him. So, in a desperate attempt to increase his popularity, Sven threw a big party at his house. He wanted to make new friends, but most kids from our school just stole everything they could get their hands on while there. Meanwhile, my own horror story began. Sven came over to me and asked if I wanted to dance with him. Thank you for the offer, but I'm not interested. But it's my birthday! Come on! Don't touch me! I screamed, and now everyone looked at us. The other kids started yelling at him to leave me alone too, with some even throwing their beers at him. It was an extremely humiliating experience for Sven, and I could tell he was about to start crying. So out of pity, I helped him wipe the beer off his face. Biggest mistake of my life, because he immediately grabbed my arm and said, "Thank you for being so kind to me. We should hang out with each other more often." What a creep. The following week, I was waiting for my school bus when Sven pulled up in front of my house. "What are you doing here?" "I couldn't stop thinking about you after what happened between us at my party, so I wanted to give you a ride to school." How did this creep know where I lived? I told him I wasn't interested, but he responded, "No problem. Have fun in your English class." Wow, he even knew my class schedule. Then, during school break, he put his hands on my shoulders saying, "Hey, cutie, can I show you my gun collection later?" Oh, God. Get off me or I'll cut both your hands off. Relax. And by the way, I wanted to let you know that I joined your ballet school. See you later for practice. Okay, Sven's behavior was getting out of control. One day, my mom told me, "A boy just knocked on the door. He said he was your boyfriend and told me to give you this envelope." Oh no, did Sven now actually believe we were a couple? I opened the envelope and found a graph notebook inside. Turns out that he had filled every single square of the 160 pages with a heart, which must have taken him weeks to do. It scared me so much, because what if Sven eventually turned to violence if he didn't get what he wanted? I did some research and learned that there are 5 main categories of stalkers. The description that best fit Sven was that of the intimacy-seeking stalker. That's a person who believes that they are loved by their victim or will be loved one day in the future. Apparently, this kind of stalker is often mentally ill or delusional. And if the delusional stalker gets rejected again and again, he often becomes resentful and tries to hurt his victim. This actually happens to many celebrities. One of them was Rebecca Schaeffer. She was an actress that was murdered by her stalker after she appeared in a sitcom episode where she was shown in bed with another actor. This infuriated her stalker so much that he murdered her out of jealousy. Well, one day, I came home from school and noticed that some of the blinds in my room were open. Normally, I always kept them closed, so I immediately got suspicious. Had Sven sneaked into my house and opened the blinds? Maybe so he could watch me from outside. I glanced out the window and immediately spotted something unusual looking behind a tree. I got super excited because if this was really Sven, then I could finally catch him in the act of stalking me and get a restraining order. So I called the police, who managed to overwhelm Sven before he could run away. Although, as they took him away, he screamed, "I love you, and no one can ever keep us apart!" The next day, the police informed me that they found several audio recordings of me on Sven's phone. Turns out, he'd been in my room before and installed a hidden microphone under my bed to listen in on me at all times. After the incident, Sven got 6 months in juvenile detention and wasn't allowed to go anywhere near me again. But the restraining order didn't work because whenever I went on a date with another guy, I would receive SMS messages from an unknown number like, "I'm watching you. How many more men will you have to date before you realize that I'm the one?" I knew Sven was behind the messages, just like he was the one sending me lingerie each Valentine's Day. What made things so stressful for me was that I never knew when he would show up again. So many nights I lay awake in bed, fearing that he might break into my house and hurt me. Well, after I graduated college, I moved to another state to escape Sven. I chose Wyoming and made sure to leave no trail behind that could lead him back to me. Even when I talked to my mom, we always used code words to disguise my location. She'd say, "How is California?" for example, instead of, "How is Wyoming?" in case Sven was listening in on the call. But Sven was wealthy, and a police investigation many years later found out that Sven had bribed someone at the tax office to give him my new address. I remember it like yesterday. It was Valentine's Day 2019, and I opened my mailbox to find a letter with a red heart on it saying, "Of course I still love you." Sven was back, and I just wanted to die. The idea of living in constant fear again was unbearable. But of course, that's exactly what most stalkers want, to wear their victims down until they finally agree to get into a relationship with them. Hollywood tends to portray stalkers as people who obsessively love someone, but in reality, it's just the opposite. Stalking is all about controlling and intimidating someone. It has nothing to do with real love, because if you truly love someone, then you just want them to be happy. So what I did next was fight back. I started reporting every single stalking incident, no matter how small, to the police. Unfortunately, most police officers will ignore a single stalking complaint, or even a few. You really need to make clear to them that you are in danger, or else they will never help you. So when I noticed a car following me to work, I immediately called the cops, who confirmed that it was Sven inside the car. This time, he got 12 months in jail for violating his restraining order. But that didn't stop him from sending me a letter 1 week before his release, saying, "Miss you and see you soon." I realized that this terror would never end unless I took things into my own hands. Luckily, I already had an idea about how to get rid of Sven once and for all. I built a 20,000-volt power supply, and then I poured salt water in front of my front door every evening. Salt water conducts electricity better than pure water, and if Sven illegally entered my home, I would simply turn on the power supply and zap him. Meanwhile, I always kept the front door a bit open to lure him inside. Then, all I had to do was wait. I did so for 2 months, each day from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. with the power supply next to me. Then finally, I heard footsteps outside. This was my chance to end this. Sven had ruined my life from the time I was 18 until 25, the years that should have been the best of my life. So if the authorities couldn't protect me from him, then I had every moral right to protect myself. Still, my heart was racing and I was petrified. What if my power supply didn't work? What if the electric shock wasn't strong enough to take Sven out? Then he cautiously put his foot into the house. He probably noticed that the floor was wet because he paused for a second before he put his other foot in too. That's when I flipped the switch and it made a loud zapping noise, which I let run for a few minutes. Of course, I can't graphically describe to you what happened to Sven and his body because it's too brutal for YouTube. However, let's just say that Sven never harassed me again. Afterward, I called the police and told them what I had done. I was brought to court and charged with premeditated murder. But of course, the jury found me not guilty because I was acting out of self-defense. So to all the ladies out there, don't let some scumbag ruin your life. In my opinion, you have every right to defend yourself. Oh, and if you enjoyed watching this animated story, please subscribe to this channel and hit the like button.